Joining us, graduation ceremony starts tomorrow at the University of Toronto, despite the school's efforts to clear the ongoing pro-Palestinian encampment. As Brittany Billette shows us, officials say convocation will carry on with some extra safety precautions in place.
Starting Monday and all throughout June, more than 30 graduation ceremonies are set to take place at Convocation Hall. And when 13,000 students and their parents stream into the building, they're first going to pass by King's College Circle and the encampment, which has now been there for the past month. Earlier Sunday, I contacted the school. The director of media relations told me talks continue with encampment organizers while legal proceedings move forward, but there were no major updates to provide. On Friday, the school said in a statement that the two sides met again that day to discuss a resolution, but it's still unclear how much progress was made. U of T was aiming to clear the protesters out before convocation events started, and last week it filed an injunction request authorizing police to remove protesters who refused to leave. But the judge overseeing the proceedings says the earliest he can have a hearing is June 19th and 20th, and that is to give protesters a fair opportunity to respond. Those dates, of course, are just a few days shy of the end of graduation ceremonies. Previously, U of T told CBC Toronto that it's stepping up security measures as a precaution. It said that students will not have to show ID when they pick up their gown and their cap, guests will need a ticket to enter the building, and there will be restrictions on what personal items can be let inside. Earlier today, I spoke to students about what they thought of the security measures.
It kind of gives you a sense of safety because there are these measures, it's like they've thought about it, but it's frustrating at the same time because this is a time you want to be fun, have fun, and be relaxed.
I think it's necessary just to guarantee the safety of all students and family attending the graduation ceremony. But at the same time, I feel like it might restrict what we as students and family members can bring into the convocation hall.
Protesters at the encampment have said that they don't see how their presence would disrupt graduation events because for many years, fences blocked King's College Circle during construction. I also spoke to one of the encampment representatives about the protest and where it goes from here. She said they're focused on negotiations, but Monday they are holding a ceremony and vigil for students in Gaza. Take a listen.
We will be doing a graduation ceremony for the graduates in Gaza who have no stage left to walk on. All 12 universities in Gaza have been bombed and annihilated. The entire educational structure has been annihilated, and so we will be thinking about them.
The students say they won't leave until all their demands are met. They say they want U of T to disclose and divest from all investments connected to Israel, and they want the school to cut all ties with Israeli academic institutions. The school has previously said that it will only consider disclosure and divestment if students packed up and took down the encampment. Brittany Billette, CBC News, Toronto.
We're learning tonight about a family's terrifying escape from Gaza. They're now safe in Ottawa, but say the federal government could be doing more to get Palestinians with ties to Canada out of the war-torn region. JP Tasker has more now on how they managed to escape.
Own Abu Sharar and his wife Haneen Al-Dahoudi have been through a harrowing ordeal. After months of dodging rocket fire with their newborn baby Sanad in tow, they slipped out of Gaza last month.
It was like a light from the sky. Finally, there is like an exit.
Own sister Abir is a Palestinian Canadian. She raised money to bribe Egyptian officials to let her family escape across the Gaza border. They're in Ottawa now, but still haunted by what they went through.
It was really, really hard, like beyond explanation, giving birth in such conditions.
Baby Sanad was born into war and disaster, just weeks after the October 7th attack on Israel.
It was a challenge, just the whole night thinking of if something happened like near us, how I'm going to hold them and run.
They did run for the Rafah border the first chance they got. The family on a federal government list of Gazans with ties to Canada eligible for temporary residency. The only way across the border, bribes. And there wasn't enough money to get Abir and Own's father and brother out.
My family, what about them? We tried to do some kind of help for them the same way we did to ourselves, but they weren't lucky.
You feel like guilty, like I have food, I'm taking a shower, there's hot water and so on.
CBC News arranged a call.
Say hi.
One side of the family safely in Ottawa, the other surrounded by misery.
I know they are facing health troubles.
Own's brother Mohammed contracted hepatitis, a risk when there's little clean water to drink and limited access to health care.
They told us our priority for people who lost their legs or hands, we don't have a place for you.
Mohammed has been forced from the north to the south and now to the middle of Gaza. Nowhere is safe at this point, he says.
So that's our life in these 8 months. Evacuation.
Abir is feeling helpless a world away.
Like, I feel my family is stuck there. I could lose them any minute.
She's angry with the federal government. She wants them to do more.
Do your job, evacuate these people to safety and get them here as soon as possible, please.
The feds say they are willing to take in more Palestinians fleeing this concept, but Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland saying it's largely out of the government's hands as to how those Palestinian folks get here to Canada. Israel and Egypt controls who gets in and who gets out of Gaza. JP Tasker, CBC News, Ottawa.
Meantime, Israel's chief foreign policy advisor says it's agreed to the U.S. ceasefire framework. Speaking to the Sunday Times in Britain, he said Israel will not abandon its war objectives, but that it wants all its hostages released. Accepting the deal and bringing the hostages home is the demand of protesters in Jerusalem again tonight. Two far-right ministers are threatening to resign and bring down the government if it goes ahead. Joe Biden laid out the plan Friday. It's unclear how it will resolve Israel's insistence that it will only end the war when Hamas is eliminated. We have some developing news tonight in the GTA. A teenager is in critical condition after a shooting in Brampton. Here's what we know. It happened shortly after 5 o'clock. Near Drinkwater Road and Queen Street, a teenage boy believed to be between 16 and 17 years old was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. So far, no arrests have been made, and police are not releasing any information on a suspect or suspects. In Toronto, the cleanup continues more than 36 hours after a streetcar crash downtown. It happened shortly after 9:30 Saturday morning. Police say a streetcar heading west on King hit a minivan, derailing and slamming into a hydro pole. Two streetcar passengers were taken to hospital, one with serious injuries. Paramedics say the minivan driver is also seriously hurt. Police say a 62-year-old man has since been charged with careless driving. Canadians returning from the U.S. could soon find themselves in some long lines. That's because more than 9,000 Canada Border Services Agency employees could strike as early as Thursday. In addition to delays, the economy could take a hit. The union that represents the workers, the Public Service Alliance of Canada, says a similar action 3 years ago nearly brought commercial cross-border traffic to a standstill. Mediation is set to begin tomorrow. A Black-led community hub in Toronto will soon get a new permanent home thanks to a big investment from Ottawa. More than $11 million is going to the Blackhurst Cultural Centre, which up until now has been operating in a local bookstore.
The Blackhurst Cultural Centre is a key cultural hub for all the people of Toronto, showcasing the rich culture and history of Canadians of African and Caribbean descent.
The new center is expected to open next year, featuring a drumming studio, offices, art gallery, digital, podcast room, bookstore, and more. If you're planning to enjoy the great outdoors anytime soon, keep in mind tick season has arrived early, along with a rise in tick-borne illnesses. Climate change is believed to be behind booming populations of ticks. Federal data shows a 1,000% increase in tick-borne illnesses over the past decade.
Just some simple things we can do to prevent tick bites. You know, you can wear longer pants and long sleeve shirts. Of course, that's not practical when it's 30 degrees Celsius, but in cooler temperatures that are above freezing in tall grass and wooded areas, that's very helpful. The other thing, of course, is insect repellent. We have lots of different products available. It contains about 30% DEET or 20% icardin. That's pretty effective in keeping insects off. Of course, it's not perfect, but it helps. Third thing you can do is do a tick check when you come indoors. Have a look. Sometimes they can be really small, like the size of a poppy seed, even smaller sometimes. Do a tick check on exposed skin, and of course a little bit above where these ticks can crawl, and even have someone look at maybe the backs of your legs where you're not as readily able to visualize. And you can pull those ticks off pretty quickly, and they won't transmit infections if you get them quickly enough.
And we are turning to Sophia now, who's the suspense. We had to have your musical intro there.
Drum roll, please, everybody.
That's right. You were warning us about the rain, and we got a little bit of that today, a fair bit.
You know what? It came down a little heavier than expected. That system sagged a little further to the south. So yes, it was extra rainy, especially around that Golden Horseshoe area. Picked up a little bit of extra lake breeze as well and amped up the volume. That system is stateside, still a few stray showers maybe coming through the Hamilton Mountain area, but it's a southerly flow in for Monday. Really light winds over the next couple days, which will be quite pleasant. That southerly flow, warmer waters over the cooler lakes. You know, you've heard me say this before. It means fog for your morning commute. That fog, though, will mix down quite nicely for some peaks of sun in the afternoon. Really slight chance of a shower into Monday morning, but really it's a cloudier morning, sunnier afternoon. Actually quite a pleasant day. Seasonal and maybe even a little bit above if you're inland. Now Tuesday, the story will be again a chance of showers and even a passing storm in the afternoon, but growing humidity away from the lakes. It will be even more so in the cards for Wednesday. We'll talk about the humid day and when all things come to a crashing halt and back down to seasonal in the long range, Shannon.
Okay, we'll see you soon.
Sounds good.
Turning to Mexico next, a historic night there. Media outlets and the ruling party declaring the winner of the presidential election, Claudia Sheinbaum, widely expected to be the country's first woman president. The former mayor of Mexico City and assumes party leadership from the outgoing president, vowing to continue his agenda, including policies aimed at the poor. The elections were Mexico's largest ever and also among the most violent in modern history, with 38 candidates killed and 2 people killed at polling stations today. In the U.S., Donald Trump says whatever punishment may come his way, he's okay with it, and that includes the possibility of prison time. The former president also warns if his freedoms are limited, it may not go over well with the public. Katie Simpson is in Washington. She has our story.
We're very thankful to the former president for giving us so much time. He gave us 90 minutes yesterday.
The weekend team at Fox News largely went easy on Donald Trump, gently asking whether he's prepared for the possibility of house arrest or prison time.
I'm okay with it. I saw one of my lawyers the other day on television saying, "Oh no, you don't want to do that to the president." I said, "You don't beg for anything. You just the way it is."
While he may seem relaxed, Trump warned Americans could react differently.
I don't know that the public would stand it, I'm not sure the public would stand for it. At a certain point, there's a breaking point.
Trump's political opponents seized on his language, accusing him of using harmful rhetoric.
This is clearly Donald Trump once again inciting violence, potential violence.
The Trump team is downplaying concern, saying the best way for supporters to protest is to vote Trump in November and to keep flooding the re-election campaign with cash, according to the head of the Republican National Committee, who spoke with CNN.
And in 48 hours after Donald Trump's verdict was read, our campaign and the RNC raised $70 million in digital fundraising. This is small dollar donations. 30% of that money came in from people who had never once donated to Donald Trump.
Some Republicans remain confident the guilty verdict won't hurt Trump's re-election chances.
Americans are going to come back to the issues that affect them because this trial outcome doesn't affect them.
Trump will be sentenced July 11th, days before he formally becomes the Republican presidential nominee at the party's convention. Contingency plans are being made in case Trump's freedoms are restricted.
It really doesn't matter whether it's from Trump Tower in Manhattan, whether it's from Mar-a-Lago, whether it's from our convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We will nominate Donald Trump as our Republican nominee, and that's what ultimately matters.
This guilty verdict puts Trump in a really difficult position ahead of his 3 other criminal trials. If there's a guilty verdict in any of those cases, his punishment could end up being more serious because he has a prior criminal record. So that is an added pressure his legal team is facing as they try to overturn this conviction. Katie Simpson, CBC News.
It is Pride Month, and a weekly event dedicated to queer line dancing is about to celebrate its first anniversary along with joining in Pride celebrations. I got a chance to meet the team behind it all.
We got the horses moving, we got the woofers grooving, we got the women moving, everybody's head is bobbing.
You don't need to know how to dance. Oh, 100%. You can just come in, you can have 2 left feet. Yep. A lot of our friends that we have recruited, every single thing that they say is, I can't dance. That don't matter. Show up, 7 p.m., you're here. Like, you shouldn't feel as intimidated because the point is that everybody's learning.
First night that we ever had, we were in initially this tiny venue. I was like, okay, 10 people are gonna come, maybe 15. Like, if we're really lucky, 25 people will be here. And I think we had 75 people. We were over capacity, people spilling out into the streets, like trying to see, literally through the door to the stage, through 2 rooms to get the moves. And I was like, oh, this is like, there's an appetite for this.
So popular, they eventually found a more routine rhythm every week, Sunday night at 7 o'clock at the Owls Club, a former church in Dovercourt Village turned Veterans Hall and event space.
We've lost so many queer spaces, especially since the pandemic, and especially in the last 10 years as rent in the city has gone absolutely sky high. A lot of our bars and our favorite spots have closed down, and this seems to be the way that we can make up for it.
Creating a safe space, building community, and moving together as a group.
5, 6, 7, go stop.
Meredith Shedden is one of the choreographers and callers.
The collective effervescence, I just felt that when we were just dancing now, because we hadn't done the dance where we were facing each other. We've never done that, facing each other before, and that crossover moment, we're all like looking at each other and like feeling each other's energy. And I've never been a sports person, but I feel like it's a similar feeling to just moving your body with a group of people with a collective goal. That's the connection that I think everyone craves in one way or another.
Right toe, left, and right heel, left heel.
And they're branching out, recently teaching their largest crowd yet at the Bentway.
Then it was a lot more expansive in terms of identities, and I think that that's super important to us as well, that we're engaging with like anyone who's an ally to the queer community.
Now with Pride Month underway and Spurs celebrating its first anniversary, the hope is to keep growing and inspire more people to join in.
At any Pride event that you're at this month, look out on the dance floor. You're going to see Spurs people cranking out the choreography. I have a feeling that it's going to be a line dancing takeover this Pride, no matter what dance floor you're on. For me, the most important thing to do is just to keep coming every Sunday night and to get as many people out on the dance floor as possible. This is the heart and soul. What we're doing is here at Owls Club, and knowing that we have something that's going to work and that we can continue to offer this dance floor to folks to make friends and connect and make friends, find lovers. You never know. I think just continuing on feels like the most incredible accomplishment.
All that rain today couldn't dampen the enthusiasm for thousands of bike riders this morning who pounded the pavement down the DVP and Gardner, raising money for brain health research. We caught up with some of the riders as they crossed the finish line.
Even in the rain hasn't scared off anybody. It's been amazing, it really has. Everyone here has a story. Everybody knows someone. There's over 600,000 Canadians who currently suffer from dementia, and that number is supposed to rise to over 1 million in the next few years. So the reason we have 10,000 people today is because the cause is so important. And so everyone is here with their own personal stories, and everyone's out doing whatever they can to defeat dementia.
My husband and I ride regularly, and we did the 50K today, and we're really grateful to be able to do it in memory of our good friend Jerry. It's an excellent opportunity to raise funds for the cause of mental health and research, and to be able to do it so that everyone feels like they're participating and that they're helping out the best that they can.
Thank you very much. The ride I most look forward to all year. My grandfather Jim had Alzheimer's, and so it's a cause that's dear to my heart. And hopefully it's not something that I'm going to get when I'm older. And hopefully the research they're doing is going to help all the people who have brain problems.
This year was fantastic, and we're already planning for next year's Mattamy Homes Bike for Brain Health in support of Baycrest Foundation, June 1st, 2025.
Sophia, such a great cause. Last year they raised $4.4 million. The goal this year was $6 million. And you just gotta love seeing people out there, like some of them riding 75 kilometers. That's a big bike ride.
Yeah, it's incredible athleticism. You can tell all the training that went into it and all the positive attitudes to boot. Fantastic job. And the next week, it's the Ride to Conquer Cancer as well. So a lot of events. We are watching the potential of rain next weekend as well, though. In fact, I'm going to break from tradition here, Shannon, and start with the 7-day when it comes to this long-range forecast, because it does not look pretty. Look at this. It's certainly not going to be a washout every day this upcoming work week, but we're not going to have a free ride, to use a bike riding pun there. Talking about storms and chances of showers mostly every day this upcoming work week. Let's begin every day of this upcoming work week. Let's begin with Monday, though. It's probably the best day of this long-range forecast. Clouds move out in the morning, and you'll have peaks of sunshine into the afternoon. Into the overnight period, we're watching the system from the prairies begin to sag south, along with humidity creeping up from stateside. These two ingredients will combine for the chance of some storms come Wednesday. Look at that, though. The heat moving in on Tuesday, along with that sagging storm system. It's going to mean, though, in the south, as it gets wrung out for Tuesday afternoon, just a chance of some power showers scattered throughout your afternoon as it moves around the Nickel Belt and the Georgian shores on Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. It's Wednesday, though, that's the bigger shot of storms. Look at Tuesday, though, feeling like 35 in Windsor, feeling like 31 in Timmins, and like 28 in Sudbury. Wednesday, though, that heat and humidity really is cranked up, not only into the southwest and into the nation's capital region, but also into parts of the north. 33 in Timmins and 31 in Sudbury for that feels like 32 in Parry Sound. Thursday, after that chance of storms that's more prominent on Wednesday, Thursday a cold front comes in. It's again another chance of rain, and then we're in a troughing pattern and back to seasonal as we head into next weekend. We just can't win, but we'll make a good out of it when it comes to the garden, Shannon.
Yeah, well,
the
if we're
lawns
gonna
will be
have
very
showers,
happy.
let them be power showers. Thanks, Sophia.
I'm gonna coin it.
That's it for us. We'll see you next weekend.